What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, it's that time of the week again where we get you ready for the weekend with a brand new coil build. Alright guys, so we've got a brand new atomizer to build for you guys today. That's the Pulse 22, a Vandy Vape and Tony Britton project. I kind of figured this thing was going to be designed around squonking because I've known Tony for quite some time, and he is a big-time Squonk fan. So he's got all those really cool-looking 3D printed box mods and stuff like that, which I'm definitely a little bit jealous of. But with that, I managed to get my hands on a squonker for this video because I really didn't have anything that I could build this on. But big thanks to Nick. You have been shouted out, buddy. He lent me his Therion for this video and for the review that is forthcoming for this device. So thank you, Nick. I really do appreciate it, buddy. Anyways, yeah, we're going to be trying out some pre-made wire as well. This is Vandy Vape wire that we're going to be using today. And they sent this along with this device, so I figured why not kill two birds, one stone, and get my first impressions out of the way as well. And for those of you that are thinking, well, it's not really Fresh Build Friday if you're not building any wire. Well, you know what? I've been doing this a very long time. In fact, 2.5 years now I've been doing Fresh Build Fridays. And sometimes I feel like I deserve a break. And this is one of those weeks where I just want to chill and try out something new and enjoy my vape and just get some first impressions out of the way while I'm at it. So with that, yeah, I think I'm going to be taking it easy this week. Of course, I will get into more complicated builds in the near future, but don't forget to leave me your suggestions in the box below. You can feel free to comment down there if you have anything that you'd like to say. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to this build. Go ahead and grab your mod, your wick, your wire, your addy, your tools, all that good stuff. Let's go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so here we have the wire for today's video. This is the Vandy Vape Flat Clapton pre-made wire. And yeah, this is kind of interesting stuff here. We have 10 feet of 26 and 18 gauge core. I'm assuming the 18 gauge is the flat ribbon wire. And 32 gauge as our outer wire. So pretty interesting stuff. Should be pretty decent on flavor, I would imagine. So that's what we're here to test out. So without further ado, let's get right into this. I'm just going to take about, don't need much, probably about 6-7 inches of it or so. Hopefully this doesn't go flying. There we go. Boop, just like that. I actually really like the spools that it actually comes on, because this way you can just tuck this wire in to one of these little side hole things here, just like that, and then bend it over so that the wire doesn't flail out everywhere. That's kind of genius. Wire makers should all put their stuff on this kind of spool, in my opinion. So there you go. So we have our piece of flat Clapton wire right here, all ready to go. So let's go ahead and spin up a coil with this bad boy. Move our mod and addy out of the way. And yeah, the good old 3mm bit, my trusty friend here. Alright, so let's wrap our coil here. This is going to be super duper easy. Just going to do a simple 7 wrap today, I think. That's like my normal go-to. I kind of get the resistance that it's going to come out to and everything else. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This stuff is really easy to work with. I'm actually quite impressed. 5, 6, 7, and we'll start our build. So, okay, the easiest way to build on a postless deck, in my opinion, is to just kind of put your coil next to it and just kind of measure where it's got to be. So, let me get out my little trusty tool here. Gotta love these little micro tools. We've come a long way from the little blue screwdriver of yesteryear. Sure you all remember those. Now we have like these fancy little things that come with our devices. So first thing I'm going to do is loosen up these screws. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. Oh, okay. So yeah, they're Phillips head. Actually, it would be easier to tighten them, I feel like, off of the mod. And that might be a little bit troublesome in my opinion, but we'll check it out. So we're going to loosen up those screws a little bit so we can fit in our wire, just like that, and like that. So I'm sure you guys have gathered by now, this is more of a first impression on the old Pulse 22 rather than just a standard build video. Now I did see something online That said, you want your coil sitting above the airflow section, just slightly. So that's what we're going to do. I think I'm going to have it seated right about there-ish. All right, so we'll use that as a benchmark, and we'll start trimming our leads here. And that's not bad. I kind of like that. All right, I feel like that's good. So let's just try that out, see where we are at when we tighten everything down. So I'm just going to tighten it down. Honestly, yeah, this is definitely going to be easier off the mod. However, not much easier, because it's still a bit of a pain to tighten these things down. I don't know. I might want the Phillips heads to be on there instead of, or not the Phillips heads, the Allen heads on there instead of the Phillips heads, because I don't know, just kind of a pain to deal with those regular Phillips head screws. So now what I'm going to do is just put the old jig back through, pull up pretty much as hard as I can, because you want this sitting off the deck, obviously. So there you go. That's where it's at right now. Not sure if the airflow is going to sit directly on top of it or what. Looking pretty close. Just kind of position it like that. And the airflow is kind of aimed directly at it. So I don't know. We'll test this theory out, and we'll see how the flavor is. But from what I read online, you should probably position it a tiny bit higher. So I don't know. I feel like that is pretty good, though, for what we're working with so far. All right. So I guess the only thing to do now is to tune up our coils here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get out our tweezers. And I've got my mod set at 30 watts. See if it fires. Yep, fires up. And actually, it's reading right about what I was expecting, about 0.2 ohms. It's right where I want to be for this one here. And right now we're just getting those coils basically warmed up, essentially. You don't really want to crank up the heat too much on them, but you want to make sure everything's firing up nice. And wow, that's very little maintenance on these guys. I mean, already we're getting even heating from the inside out, even at 30 watts, which, I mean, even some of the coils that I make by hand aren't that easy to tune up. So not too bad, gotta say. You know, for pre-made wire, yeah, I'm definitely digging it. And it's a heck of a lot easier than making it myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and go up to about 50, 55 watts or so here. Yep, right about there. 58, not bad. And just want to make sure everything is lighting up evenly and at the same time, just like that. Look at that. Nice little glow shot there. Beautiful. Oh, that looks perfect. All right. Let's see. Final resistance jumped up a tiny bit, but I think we can go up to about 70. We'll go up to 70 watts today. I feel like that would be our butter zone for this one here. Oh yeah, looking good. Beautiful. Yeah, I think this thing is ready for some wicking, and I'm actually going to do this on camera this time. So we have our native wicks here, and I'm just going to grab a little bit of it, probably 2-3 inches of it real quick, and our scissors, of course. Just lop off a hunk right there, peel off what we need, and while our coil cools down, we're going to talk about how much cotton we need. And usually what I do is I just kind of feel it out. So I just kind of run my fingers across the outer edge here and get any little microscopic hairs or whatever out of it. You can notice already there's a little bit of excess on the end there. So I tend to rip that off. Then I just kind of go back and forth on it to thin it out a little bit, until I just feel how much I'm going to need. You know, 3mm coil, it's pretty standard. Once you've been building for quite some time, you can just kind of tell what's going to work and what doesn't. So that's still a little bit too thick. So I think what I'm going to do is just rip off the tiniest little shred like that. Yeah, that feels like the right amount. And it's not something you can teach. And that's the unfortunate part, because I really wish I could tell you guys exactly how much cotton to use, you know, but it's really something you just have to kind of feel it out and learn and just kind of do it over and over again until you get it right. So you want to point that tip there just like that and just pull it through. You want it fairly tight, since we're going to be putting a lot of wattage through it, you know. Some people do it tighter than others, but at the very least, you want to make sure it's hitting every little bit of surface area in the inside of that coil. So just like that. And when it's tight, you want to just kind of pull it back ever so slightly to the direction that you initially started on. So there we go. We're going to leave this stuff a little bit longer than normal, so just outside the edge of the deck here, because I feel like this is a good way to wick this one. Again, this is all just kind of experimentation. This is new to me. I just got this thing in. I just opened up the box, and I'm going to kind of mess around with it a little bit before I, you know, review it, of course. But I just wanted to experiment with something and try out this wire at the same time, since they sent it along with it. So that's what we're doing. And now I'm just thinning out this cotton. You do this not only to pull fibers from one side of the wicks to the other, but also to just kind of loosen it up a little bit so that you have a little bit more air, basically, more little air pockets in your wick. That way it kind of tends to hold more juice without having a ton of cotton in your actual juice well there. So we're going to snip off the excess once again, give it a little haircut here. Make sure I'm on camera. And there we go. And you can be as fussy as you want about this step, but to be honest with you, it does not matter. You can leave it long if you really wanted to, but... So, it's looking like there's this direction here for this side. Like that. And then, of course, we're going to do the opposite for this side. So just kind of bend it around this way. So that way it kind of makes like an S, which is actually pretty ingenious if you ask me. I really, really like that. Now, of course, you could probably attempt a dual coil and stuff like that on this thing, but really, I'm not feeling that brave today. But maybe perhaps another time we'll try out a dual coil on this thing. Let me know what you think in the comments section if you want to see a dual coil done on this guy here. So I'm actually going to give it a little bit of juice to start off with. We're using Pink Bunny today by Holy Cow E-Liquid. Really good stuff. If you've never tried it, I would definitely recommend it. So we're going to give it a little bit of juice there just to get it started. Then we have to fill up our bottle. Alright, so we are ready to squonk. So I'm just going to give it a few little pulses here, let those coils really saturate. Then we're going to test fire this bad boy. So just kind of make sure the entire surface area of that coil and that wicking is nice and wet before you do anything, because you don't want to get that first initial hit really dry, of course. Alright, so we are at 70 watts right now. Let's see some vapor production. You know what? Not bad for a single coil. And we have an entire bottle of juice at our disposal right under there. So, pretty cool. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the build section of the video. Now let's talk about the coil that we just put in our Pulse 22. First of all, let's see, it came out to 0.3 ohms. I'm vaping it at 60 watts at about 4.2, 4.3 volts. It's hovering right around there. I ended up turning it down from when I was dry firing it to about 60 watts here because, to be honest, it was a little bit too warm, which actually brings us right into our first category here, which is the heat. Right now I've got both air holes open, but only about halfway way, and it seems to be kind of the happy medium because both air holes completely open is a little bit too much of a draw, too airy for me personally. But then again, one air hole open is a little bit too tight for me, so I kind of wanted to find like that little happy medium right in between there, which kind of cooled down the coil just enough, but also gave me enough warmth where it was satisfying as well. So I feel like I've kind of hit the sweet spot with this one, and definitely enjoying it. My second category, which is the ramp up and ramp down time. Well, ramp up is pretty quick. At 60 watts, I get about maybe quarter to a half a second before it gets to its full kind of potential with this one here, and I get a full draw out of it. This one has the same kind of issue as the recoil RDA, where if you blow through it, if you want to purge a little bit, it's going to end up shooting right back in your face. So I would highly recommend you don't do that for obvious reasons, but really it's not an issue for this one here because it is a single coil atomizer, which means that one coil is going to get the full wattage and it's going to ramp up a lot quicker. Let's go ahead and test this thing out and check out the ramp down time. So I'm getting about a 2-second ramp down time, which is actually a little bit better than I was expecting. Honestly, anything under 3 seconds is really good in my book. So for a single coil getting the full 60 watts, the ramp down time is a little bit better than average. For my third category, which is the difficulty of this build, this one was a cinch for obvious reasons. I mean, the wire was pre-made, and for all you guys out there that haven't really reached the Clapton or Fuse Clapton level of building yet, there's really no shame in picking yourself up a spool of pre-made stuff. And not just the Vandy Vape wire that I've got here, there's also Lightning Vapes. They make pre-made Fuse Clapton and Alien wire on a spool, so really, you can't go wrong with that stuff. I mean, technology is so great. We have convenience right there at our fingertips, so why not use it? For my fourth and final category, which is the flavor that I get off of this wire is above average. I'm going to say it's really good. I'm kind of surprised. It's definitely above my expectations as far as what pre-made wire can deliver, but yeah, I think it's the 32 gauge outer wire that really does it because it just provides so many little nooks and crannies for that juice to get into, and that's really where you get a lot of flavor. Just that much more surface area can deliver that much more flavor. So with that, really good flavor, very quite surprised. And as far as my first impressions of the Pulse 22 atomizer, yeah, so far so good. The only thing that I've found that I don't like so far about it is how I can't loosen and tighten the screws with the included screwdriver, at least, with the atomizer on my mod. So that was a little bit funky. That was a little bit weird to me. I feel like changing them out to the Allen-headed screws will change that fact, but overall, so far so good with it. I really like the Ultem cap that it comes with, or the drip tip here. The airflow is sufficient. It's smooth. I was expecting a little bit more turbulent airflow, to be perfectly honest with you guys, but yeah, so far so good. And if you guys out there are squonkers, then definitely give it a look if you want something for a decent price. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget you can click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, make sure you leave me some comments in the box below about anything you want to talk about, whether it be Pulse 22 or the pre-made wire, or if you have a suggestion for a future episode of Fresh Build Friday, just leave it on down there. Also, check out the advocacy and my social media links in the box below. I've also got a link if you want to pick up a Daily Vape TV t-shirt. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on!